Ya, what's up, balik lagi bersama gue Dan. Oke, kita langsung lanjutin lagi game Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. Pembunuhan Ibu Kimio udah The Ultimate Musician sama si Yoko Sayonji, Ultimate Traditional Dancer 2. Teman kita sekaligus langsung kena jadi korbannya. Dan ini cukup membingungin karena gue nggak dapat petunjuk yang cukup besar, dan ini juga triknya juga sampai sekarang gue belum tahu. But kalau misalkan yang pasti kalau misalkan dia pakai lantai atas ya, lantai dua rumah sakit, di conference room itu dia pakai buat jadi trik karena itu ruangannya gelap banget. Soalnya kalau itu pakai jadi trik, gue harus pelakunya antara orang-orang yang ada di rumah sakit, antara Fuyuhiko atau si Mikan. Tapi nggak mungkin gue rasa si Fuyuhiko, jadi Mikan mungkin. Let's see. Karena class trial ini sejauh ini 2 kali tersebar, selalu ngasih
Let's
kejutan yang
begin with us
menarik sih.
during the class trial. If you vote correct, I'll punish every. Oh well, who cares about this boring explanation?
Yeah.
Let's get on with it already.
I don't mind starting the trial, but I don't really have a grasp of how the case played out.
Aku benar tidak keberatan memulai trialnya, tapi aku tidak tahu bagaimana kasusnya.
You know,
Jadinya kasusnya.
because I was asleep the whole time.
Oh, tahu kan aku ketiduran setiap saat.
Even if you do grasp it, you're just gonna confuse the heck out of us, aren't you?
Bahkan kalaupun mengetahuinya, kau hanya akan membuat kami bingung, ya kan?
But Nagito's not alone. I don't really get it either.
Tapi nah, kita tidak sendiri, aku juga tidak
You're
mengerti.
fine. Your head's empty anyway.
Kau nggak apa-apa. Toh, malammu kosong.
Empty head? Huh. What's wrong with that? Listen up. The emptier your head, the more dreams you can stuff inside it, you know?
Oke, itu kata-kata yang bagus.
Anyway, we shouldn't proceed with the trial if those two can't participate in the arguments.
Ngomong, kita tidak bisa melanjutkan trialnya jika mereka berdua tidak bisa berpartisipasi dalam argumen.
Since he's the first witness, why don't we ask Hajime to explain the incident and the sequence of events?
Karena dia adalah saksi pertama, kenapa kita tidak tanya pada Hajime untuk menjelaskan kejadiannya dan urutan dari
Then,
sekuensinya.
let's start with when we split into the hospital team and motel team because of the despair disease.
Kalau gitu, ayo kita mulai saat kita berpencar menjadi tim rumah sakit dan tim hotel karena adanya despair
The
disease.
hospital team consisted of Nagito, Ibuki, and Akane, who were infected, and Mikan, Fuyuhiko, and me.
The other 5 on the motel team were myself, Gundam, Kazuichi, Chiaki, and Hyoko.
Oke, itu udah
Spending
cukup
the night
jelas.
at the hospital was prohibited, so Hajime and I had to sleep at our cottages.
Oh. Tumben suaranya tenang gitu. Enak didengar suaranya pas tenang. Bermalam di rumah sakit dilarang, jadi Hajime dan aku harus tidur di dalam cottage.
I woke up at my cottage on the day the incident happened.
Aku terbangun di cottageku pada hari kejadian terjadi.
Mikan came by to wake me up and told me that Nagito had recovered from his symptoms.
Mikan datang untuk membangunkanku dan berkata padaku bahwa Nagito telah sembuh dari gejalanya.
We immediately headed over to the hospital, and after we confirmed his recovery,
Kami dengan cepat mengarah ke rumah sakit dan setelah kami mengkonfirmasi dia sudah
I made
sembuh,
Mikan rest in the on-call room since she hadn't slept all night, while I waited in the hospital lobby.
aku membuat Mikan istirahat di on-call room karena dia belum tidur semalaman. Sementara aku menunggu di hospital lobby.
And then, I saw the incoming signal light on the surveillance camera blinking before our scheduled time.
Dan kemudian aku melihat cahaya sinyal datang dari kamera pengawas berkedip sebelum jadwal yang telah ditentukan.
When I pressed the button to turn on the monitor, what appeared on screen was
Saat aku menekan tombol menyalakan monitor, apa yang muncul di layar adalah
a video of someone wearing a hospital gown and a hemp bag on their head, climbing a stepladder.
video seorang mengenakan baju rumah sakit dan kantung di kepalanya, menanjat step ladder, tangga pijakan.
Amazing! That's such a heart-pounding story! And then what did you do, Hajime?
Mengagumkan, itu adalah cerita yang sangat membuat berdebar-debar. Kemudian apa yang kau lakukan, Hajime?
I tried to stop them, of course.
Aku cuma menghentikannya, tentu
I
saja.
rushed out of the hospital and ran to where the video was being recorded.
Aku dengan cepat keluar dari rumah sakit dan berlari kemana video itu direkam, the music venue.
But it was too late.
Tapi sudah terlambat.
By the time I arrived, the person wearing the hemp bag on their head was already hanging from the ceiling.
Saat aku tiba, orang yang menggunakan handbag di kepalanya sudah tergantung di langit-langit.
I
thought I should tell the others right away, so I headed to the motel.
Aku pikir aku harus memberitahu yang lain segera, jadi aku mengarah ke motel.
Why the motel?
Kenapa ke motel?
Because it was close to the music venue, and unlike the hospital, there were more able-bodied people there.
Karena itu lebih dekat dengan music venue dan tidak seperti rumah sakit. Ada banyak orang yang lebih mampu di sana.
At least, that's what I thought. But the only person who came with me was Chiaki.
Setidaknya itulah yang kupikir. Tapi satu-satunya orang yang datang denganku adalah Chiaki.
But I remember feeling a little relieved because not long after, we met up with Mikan and Fuyuhiko.
Tapi aku ingat merasa sedikit lega karena tidak lama kemudian kita bertemu dengan Mikan dan Fuyuhiko.
We were also looking for Ibuki since she disappeared from our sight.
Kami juga mencari Ibuki karena dia menghilang dari pandangan kami.
After I rested for a bit, I started counting everyone at the hospital. And then I noticed Ibuki was gone. So I sprinted out of the hospital.
Dan kemudian aku menyadari Ibuki hilang, jadi aku berlari keluar dari rumah sakit.
Coincidentally, I ran into Fuyuhiko. So I pled with him in various ways to see if he could help me out.
Secara kebetulan aku bertemu dengan Fuyuhiko, jadi aku meminta padanya dengan berbagai cara untuk melihat apakah dia bisa membantuku.
Various ways?
Berbagai cara?
Don't say it like that and confuse people.
Kok dia malu-malu sih? Mencurigakan. Jangan bilang begitu dan membuat orang bingung.
After I heard from those two that Ibuki disappeared, I had a feeling she was the person wearing the hemp bag.
Setelah aku mendengar dari mereka berdua bahwa Ibuki menghilang, aku memiliki firasat bahwa dia adalah orang yang menggunakan kantong.
So I immediately led them to the music venue.
Jadi aku segera menuntun mereka ke panggung musik.
But the door wouldn't open. Since we had no other option, the four of us broke down the door.
Tapi karena pintu tidak mau terbuka, kami tidak punya pilihan lain. Kami berempat mendobrak pintunya.
And when that happened, we didn't just find Ibuki's body. We also found Hyoko's.
Dan saat itu, jadi kami tidak hanya menemukan tubuh Ibuki, kami juga menemukan Hyoko.
And not just that. Her body was taped to a pillar.
Dan tidak hanya itu, tubuhnya diselotip ke pilar.
That's when we heard the body discovery announcement. Not once, but twice in a row.
Itulah saat kami mendengar pengumuman penemuan mayat, tidak hanya sekali tapi 2 kali berturut-turut.
And so we decided to lower the hanged body, didn't we?
Dan kemudian kita memutuskan untuk menurunkan tubuh yang tergantung, ya kan?
When we removed the hemp bag, just as we feared, it was Ibuki.
Saat kami mencopot kantongnya, sebagaimana kami takutkan, itu adalah Ibuki.
So that's how the case played out. Thank you. I understood it very easily.
Jadi begitu ternyata kasusnya. Terima kasih. Aku mengerti dengan mudah.
Well, it's clear what the problem with this case is. When Hajime left the music venue, who...
Kan kalau itu jelas masalah dengan kasus ini adalah saat Hajime meninggalkan panggung musik, siapa?
Wait, how do I know anything Hajime just said is true?
Tunggu, bagaimana aku tahu semua yang dibilang Hajime itu benar? Oh?
Sorry, I'm only being impartial right now. And the story I just heard is clearly suspicious.
Oh, ini curiga begitu. Maaf, aku hanya menjadi impartial, nggak tahu ya. Nggak tahu gitu. Ada cerita yang aku dengar, itu jelas mencurigakan.
Hajime, if you're the only one who saw the hanging video and the first one to discover Ibuki's body,
Hajime, jika kau satu-satunya yang melihat video yang tergantung dan yang pertama kali menemukan tubuh Ibuki,
then you could be lying as much as you want right now, right?
kalau gitu kau bisa berbohong sebanyak kau mau sekarang, ya kan?
Lie? Why would I lie?
Bohong, kenapa berbohong?
Obviously. So you could make us ignore what might be an inconvenient truth for you.
Jelas, jadi kau bisa membuat kami mengabaikan apa yang mungkin adalah kenyataan tidak menyenangkan untukmu.
Do you doubt me?
Kau melakukan
If
itu,
you're not lying, I would like you to prove it.
yang tidak berbohong, aku ingin kamu buktikannya.
Come on, try to prove it to me. Prove you're not the killer.
Ayo, buktikan padaku, buktikan kalau kau bukan pembunuhnya. Bagaimana Kazushi bilang, Nagito adalah sejenis orang yang akan membingungkan kami dan membuat semuanya buruk. Sialan, aku seharusnya tidak menjelaskan pada Nagito. Aku yang ada dalam masalah sekarang karena itu. Oke. Apa yang bisa jadi bukti ya?
Hajime's testimony is clearly suspicious.
If Hajime's testimony is a lie, then the fact that Ibuki hung herself...
That would also be a lie.
Oh.
I don't think I can deny that possibility.
Tentang kemungkinan itu.
After all, Hajime is the only witness.
Ini
Why
sesuatu
would
yang
Hajime
saksi.
lie?
Kenapa Hajime bohong?
Well, obviously because he's the killer.
Jelas karena dia
Did
pembunuhnya.
Hajime kill both of them?
Hajime bunuh mereka
The fact
berdua.
that the bodies were imitating the movie means it probably is Hajime's fault. Hajime's testimony.
That's
Hajime's... And the
easy.
fact that Ibuki...
Bodies were imitating the movie.
No, that's wrong.
Hajime belum nonton filmnya bro.
I'm not the killer. I mean, there's no way I'd be able to imitate that movie.
Aku bukan pembunuhnya. Maksudku tidak mungkin aku bisa meniru movie-nya.
Of course you're not. I already knew that.
Ya saya kau tidak. Aku sudah tahu itu.
Huh?
Hah?
Before the incident, Hajime had never watched that movie. His invitation ticket is proof of that.
Terus ngapain tadi dia minta kayak gitu? Sialan.
Each person only received one ticket, and they're marked with a stamp that shows the date and time.
Setiap orang menerima satu tiket dan mereka ditandai dengan stempel, tanggal dan waktunya.
Isn't that right, Monokuma?
Itu benar menurutmu?
Yes, no mistakes there.
Ya, tidak ada kesalahan di sana.
Which means there's no way Hajime, who never saw the movie, could commit murders that imitated it.
Pada artinya tidak mungkin Hajime yang tidak pernah menonton filmnya bisa melakukan pembunuhan yang meniru itu.
Or did anyone tell him what happens in the movie? Of course no one did, right?
Atau apakah ada orang lain memberitahu dia apa yang terjadi di filmnya? Tentu saja tidak ada seorang pun yang kan.
Hold on a sec. You're the one who brought this up in the first place.
Tunggu sebentar, kau yang membahas ini.
Nagito, what are you doing?
Nah gitu lu
Well,
ngapain?
since we're opening with your witness testimony, I thought we should solidify the foundation.
Ya, karena kita membuka dengan kesaksianmu, aku pikir kita harus memperkuat fondasi.
It also provides a good warm-up.
Juga menyediakan pemanasan yang bagus.
What warm-up? This isn't a game, you know.
Panasan apa? Ini bukan permainan, kau tahu?
Don't get mad. I just think warming up is really important. Especially since this isn't a game.
Jangan marah. Aku hanya berpikir pemanasannya itu penting, terutama karena ini bukan
What a
permainan.
waste of time. Well, I knew it would turn out like this anyway.
Buang-buang waktu saja. Aku sudah tahu akan terjadi seperti ini sih.
Now then, since we know Hajime's testimony is reliable, let us move on to the arguments.
Nggak jelas. Tapi dia cuma pengen memperkuat fondasinya si Hajime sih. Jadi ya, thanks man, I guess. Begitu karena kita sudah mengetahui pengakuan Hajime bisa diandalkan. Kalau gitu kita lanjut dengan argumen. Wow, gue lupa. Gue nerjemahin satu persatu kalimat mereka dan kayaknya bakal lama banget. Jadi kayak kemarin aja deh kita
So this means
ambil
Ibuki
intinya aja.
definitely climbed the stepladder all by herself, right?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Ibuki menanjat step letternya sendiri. Ya, oke.
Then that seals it. Ibuki committed suicide.
Kalau gitu Ibuki
If
melakukan bunuh
Ibuki
diri.
committed suicide, then who killed Hiyoko?
Kayak Ibuki melakukan bunuh diri. Kalau gitu siapa yang bunuh Hiyoko?
A murder coincidentally occurring in the same place as a suicide ain't possible, huh?
Pembunuhan secara kebetulan terjadi di tempat yang sama dengan bunuh diri. Tidak mungkin ya.
Like I said before, it's pretty clear what the problem with this case is.
Seperti aku bilang sebelumnya, sangat jelas masalah dengan kasus ini.
The killer murdered Hiyoko while Hajime was gone.
Pelakunya membunuh Hiyoko saat Hajime
So
pergi.
all we gotta do is establish who could have possibly done that.
Jadi yang perlu kita lakukan adalah mengetahui siapa yang bisa melakukan itu.
Then let's ask Hajime. How long would you say you were away from the music venue?
Nah, kalau gitu kita tanya pada Hajime, berapa lama kau bilang kau jauh dari panggung musik?
I couldn't have been gone for more than 10 minutes.
Aku tidak mungkin pergi lebih dari 10 menit.
So they killed Hiyoko and taped her up within 10 minutes? There's no way that's possible.
Jadi mereka membunuh Hiyoko dan selotip dia dalam waktu 10 menit, itu mustahil.
That's why the killer stalled for time by making the music venue a closed room.
Itulah mengapa pelakunya membuang waktu dengan membuat music venue sebagai ruang tertutup.
What do you mean a closed room?
Ah,
The killer blocked the venue door from the inside to try and keep us from entering right away.
Oke.
However, that door is the only entrance to the music venue, right?
If they blocked the door from the inside, the killer would not have been able to leave either.
Oke, ini mengenai pintu masuknya yang
Yeah,
tertutup ya.
you're absolutely right. Which means, when we broke down the venue door, the killer was still inside.
They were?
If that's the case, the only suspicious people are those who don't have an alibi for that time. And that's you two, Sonia and Kazuichi.
Me too?
What the hell? Why's it gotta be us?
The others all have alibis. Chiaki, Mikan, Hajime, and I all broke down the venue door together. Gundam met up with Hajime at the motel right before that. And if Akane and Nagito were laid up in the hospital, the only person that leaves is one of you.
Alasan dugaannya si Fuyu itu bagus juga. Kita berempat tuh berak pintu, 2 orang sakit. Si Gundam masih di ini motel. But I don't think that's the case.
There's another person who doesn't have an alibi. You know, Nekomaru.
Yeah,
Me too!
aku juga.
Why are you talking like... You're kidding, right? You're not up to something weird, are you? Please stop making bad jokes.
Anyway, if the killer was hiding inside the venue, we should obviously doubt the people who don't have alibis.
Oke.
What a wicked way of backing us into a wall. Is this his professional skill?
Cara mengerikan untuk membuat kami terpojok. Apakah ini adalah profesional skillnya? Mereka bersembunyi dalam panggung musik. Ya itu jelas pikir begitu, tapi apakah benar begitu?
The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
It seems they were trying to stall
kali
for
ya.
time.
How did they lock the door? That door should not have had a lock.
The lock was on the floor in front of the door.
Are you talking about the broken drumstick?
Yep.
You can use that as a bolt to lock the door. By doing that, the killer who was hiding inside waited till we gathered together and suddenly appeared.
So they look like they had just rushed over.
That's a
I have
very
seen this in serial crime dramas.
The door from the inside.
Oke.
No, that's wrong.
Transparan buat kata-kata kedua yang berubah.
Hold on a sec. There's also a possibility that the door was locked from the outside.
Ada juga kemungkinan bahwa pintu itu terkunci dari
From
luar.
the outside? How?
Luar bagaimana?
There was a semi-transparent glob stuck to the venue door. Maybe that's what they used.
Ada semi-transparent globe yang menakut di pintu panggung. Mungkin itu yang kita gunakan.
Semi-transparent glob. Like rubber, maybe?
Transparent globe mungkin seperti karet. Itu bukan karet sama sekali. Globe yang digunakan mungkin adalah lem, karen, gummy, rubber.
I see!
That semi-transparent glob must have been glue.
Lem,
Glue?
lem.
Yeah, I think so too.
Masa juga begitu?
It had a firm, gel-like chewiness. And I could smell workshop chemicals the moment I put it in my mouth.
Itu memiliki struktur kenyalan seperti gel dan aku bisa merasakan aroma kimia saat aku meletakkannya dalam
Based
mulutku.
on all that, I'm certain it was glue.
Selain itu aku sangat yakin itu adalah lem.
I didn't know glue was edible.
Aku tidak tahu lem bisa
I
dimakan.
believe it is not something one typically eats.
Aku yakin itu bukan sesuatu yang harus dimakan seorang.
That glue was only applied to the areas where both doors touched.
Dan itu hanya diberikan pada tempat di mana kedua pintunya
By
bersentuhan.
pouring it in the gaps of the closed door, they must have sealed the venue door from the outside.
Dengan menumpahkannya di celah yang menutupi pintu, mereka pasti menutup pintunya dari luar.
And thanks to that, a glob of glue was left where the door was stuck. Yep, it fits perfectly.
Nah, berkat itu lem itu tertinggal di mana pintunya menyangkut. Ya, itu sangat cocok.
If you just stick them together with glue, you'd be able to break down the door easily, you know?
Tapi jika kau menempelkan itu dengan lem, kau bisa mendobraknya dengan mudah, kau tahu?
That doesn't really matter. The killer only did that to make us think the door was locked from the inside.
Itu tidak benar-benar penting. Pelakunya hanya ingin agar kita berpikir bahwa pintunya terkunci dari dalam.
What'd you say?
Apa kau bilang?
First of all, didn't that drumstick we found seem really obvious? Almost unnaturally so?
Oh, pantas kemarin begitu kalian nemuin drumstick itu nggak jadi kayak terbalet gitu loh. Kalau kamu tidakkah? Drumstick itu tampak jelas, itu kelihatan tidak natural ya kan?
It was so obvious that it makes more sense to think the killer placed it as a diversion.
Itu begitu jelas. Jadi itu masuk akal untuk berpikir bahwa pelakunya meletakkannya sebagai
Are you
pengalihan.
saying the drumstick was a trap the killer set on purpose?
Oh, berkata bahwa drumsticknya adalah jebakan yang pelakunya letakkan secara
Then
sengaja.
I totally fell for that fucking trap.
Begitu aku benar-benar terjebak kalau gitu.
Apologize to Miss Sonia and me. However, you're not allowed to slice open your stomach this time.
Kenapa pada misalnya dan aku? Tapi kau tidak perkenalkan untuk memotong perutmu kali
In
ini.
a quarrel, both sides are to blame. That's why it's better to just have no sides at all.
Oke.
So, during the 10 minutes Hajime left the venue, the killer murdered Hiyoko and created a closed space?
Ini juga agak nggak mungkin sih. Gue yakin ada trik buat nyembunyiin badannya si Hiyoko, karena Hiyoko mungkin pas Hajime datang itu Hiyokonya udah mati.
And they also taped her up after killing her, right?
Even quick work has limits.
Oh, what unimaginable speed for a slowpoke like me.
Really? Huh.
If they couldn't have done it while Hajime was away from the venue, they must have done it earlier than that.
Kalau tidak mungkin melakukannya pada saat Hajime meninggalkan panggung, mungkin dilakukan lebih awal dari itu, lebih awal.
But when Hajime got to the venue, only Ibuki's body was there, right?
Tapi saat Hajime sampai ke panggung, hanya tubuh Ibuki di sana ya kan?
And when you went back with everyone else, Hiyoko's body was there too, right?
Dan saat kau kembali dengan semua orang, tubuh Hiyoko juga ada di sana ya
But
kan?
it's possible that the body was just revealed at that time, when Hiyoko was actually killed earlier.
Ya masuk akal bahwa tubuhnya baru terbongkar saat itu. Sementara Hiyoko sebenarnya dibunuh.
Just revealed?
Oh, baru terbongkar.
Of course, the body wasn't revealed on its own. The killer did that too.
Tentu saja, tubuhnya tidak terbongkar sendiri. Aku punya bukti.
Here, I have proof.
Ini aku punya bukti.
That scrap of paper. Is that what we found in the baton lighting at the music venue?
Yep.
That's right, but just what is this scrap anyway?
Dengan sobekan kertas yang menyangkut di baton lighting di panggung musik. Karena aku pasti bisa itu tahu itu apa. Apa ini? Oh, Hangman's Gambit. Tumben. Waduh, apa ini? Gua akan menembak huruf pertama yang muncul di sini. Wallpaper. Come on, I got this. Ya. Ribetnya.
That scrap. Isn't it part of the wallpaper in the storage room?
Wallpaper yang ada di gudang.
In the music venue storage room, there should have been black wallpaper that's the same color as that scrap. There was also a tear along the edge of the wallpaper, wasn't there? If so,
You're right. If you overlay the scrap that was caught on the lighting with the tear in the wallpaper, see? It fits perfectly.
I see. So the scrap that was caught on the baton lighting was originally part of the wallpaper.
Jadi sengaja dia dibungkus pakai, makanya dikasih selotip gitu di lehernya itu supaya darahnya nggak banyak karena ya.
And
untuk
what's wrong with
menyembunyikan
that?
itu.
Does it have something to do with Hiyoko's body disappearing?
Oh, kalau gitu bisa masuk akal kalau si Hiyoko di baju cuma
A mere nobody like me isn't important enough to answer that.
Sialan.
But if you guys were exceptional enough to identify that scrap of paper, you can figure this out easily.
Oke, berarti kita harus mengetahui itu sendiri. Hah, gitu. Nice. Potongan kertas yang menyangkut di beton lighting adalah bagian dari wallpaper yang ditemukan di gudang. Apakah itu terhubung dengan kemunculan Hayat Yoko yang tiba-tiba? Ya, melacak kembali dari sana, jalannya masih jelas. Oke, baik, kita coba. Oh, this one lagi, ha. Logic dive. Oh, we got this. Oke, aku bisa rem, aku bisa. Aduh, sekarang gue harus fokus sama lubang juga. Oke. Lompatnya agak jauh bisa sih. Hampir aja. Oke, tubuhnya tersembunyi. Ups, aduh. Sial, kena tabrak. Ups, semakin sempit jalannya. This is bad. Oke. Wah. Wallpapernya kan? Apa yang digunakan untuk menyembunyikan tubuhnya? Pasti wallpaper. Yeah. I got this. Wih, jalurnya tinggal satu sekarang. Crazier. Oops. Gak boleh lompat sembarangan. Oke, itu nggak dilompat otomatis. Cover pillar. Yeah. Yes. Gotcha. Mengapa tubuh Yoko tiba-tiba muncul di crime scene? Itu sembunyikan. Gimana pelakunya? Apa yang pelakunya gunakan untuk menyembunyikan tubuhnya? Wallpaper. Bagaimana cara pembunuhnya menyembunyikan tubuhnya dengan wallpaper? Itu menutupi.
It's all coming together. I got it. Yoko's body was hidden before we found it.
Oh.
But it would have taken quite a long time to tape up a hidden body.
No, the body was already taped up and the killer hid it, along with the pillar using the wallpaper.
What? They hid the pillar?
What? They hid the pillar?
Yeah, by wrapping the wallpaper around the pillar, the killer was able to create a slightly larger pillar. So when I first discovered Ibuki's body, Hyoko's body was already there.
Oh.
However, because it was concealed within a slightly larger pillar, I didn't realize that at the time.
Well,
Gitu.
that's understandable. I mean, it makes sense that you'd notice Ibuki's body right away.
So they used the baton lighting on the ceiling to hang the wallpaper?
The baton lighting forms a perfect circle around the pillar. So using it to hang the wallpaper totally fits.
Button lightingnya membentuk lingkaran sempurna di sekitar pilar. Jadi menggunakan itu untuk menggantung wallpaper benar-benar cocok.
Then, the reason the wallpaper was covered in so many stickers was to make it look like that pillar.
Yep.
That's how they hid Hyoko's body, and then peeled off the wallpaper as soon as I left the music venue.
But the killer made a mistake. They accidentally ripped off a piece of the wallpaper.
Karena dia buru-buru ya, makanya dia nggak sengaja ngerobek itu.
And because of that, a scrap was left on the baton lighting.
The killer must have been in a hurry. Their plan took too long. Hajime could have walked in on them.
Iya.
But going to the trouble of hiding the body and the pillar is very bold and risky.
But the crime itself would be much easier to pull off since they don't have much to do while Hajime's gone.
Kejahatan itu sendiri lebih mudah dilakukan karena mereka tidak punya banyak waktu sementara Hajime pergi.
They just have to peel off that wallpaper and stash it in the storage room. It's not that big of a deal.
Ya sih, itu jauh lebih cepat daripada ngebunuh orang terus habis itu nyelotit dirinya di pilar. Itu butuh waktu lebih dari 10 menit. Dan bisa aja si Hajime tiba-tiba datang dengan cepat.
Then, when was Hyoko actually killed?
Good point. And on that note,
Dan untuk itu,
it's about time we shed some light on those imitation murders.
sepertinya kita membongkar cahaya dari pembunuhan killer ini.
You mentioned imitation murder more than once. But what is that?
Oke, dia juga nggak tahu karena dia belum nonton filmnya kan.
Are you kidding me?
Bodoh.
Hey, don't put my likeness in your movies.
You're pretty noisy for someone who eats.
I don't
Bodoh
eat
amat.
mothballs. I just enjoy looking at them. I knew it. There are so many similarities. It must have been intentional.
Nggak tahu itu terlalu banyak kebersamaan, itu pasti sengaja.
Ibuki's death by hanging matches the Scarecrow's death from the movie.
Kematian Ibuki dengan tergantung cocok dengan kematian Scarecrow.
Not just that, but Hiyoko getting taped up after her death matches the lion's death.
Tidak hanya itu, bahkan Hiyoko diselotip setelah kematiannya mirip dengan kematian singa.
It's as if both crimes were replicas of scenes from the movie, although the mutilated Tin Man was omitted.
Oke, kecuali si Tin Man-nya ya, karena Tin
But
Man-nya
why
nggak
did the
mungkin.
killer go to all this trouble in the first place?
Pelakunya serepot ini jahat.
Based on what we know, the reason the killer chose these imitations isn't that difficult to figure out.
Oke. Alasan pelakunya mengimitasi dua korban seperti itu untuk menjelaskan untuk membiarkan rekannya kabur untuk untuk mencampurkan urutan membunuh karena mereka menyukai film ya. Mix up.
I see.
Mungkin lebih masuk akal dibandingin yang bawah.
The reason the killer imitated 2 of the murders from the movie was so he'd mix up the killing order.
Then Hiyoko was actually killed before Ibuki?
A valid line of reasoning.
Yeah, it's valid. The condition of Ibuki's body suggests that as well.
Wah, berarti si Hiyoko dulu yang dibunuh ya?
What do you mean?
Oh. Gundam, kok mencurigakan?
If you're going to cry and beg like that, then I guess I'll hear about the condition of Ibuki's body.
I'm not even crying.
I'll let you sob as much as you want later. Just hurry up and tell me before I change my mind.
Oke, Gundam, kok mencurigakan?
What a jerks!
Siap.
Oh, I see. You want me to explain it to you, right? Because you don't understand what I'm saying, right?
An even bigger jerk? Impossible!
Kampret.
Look, Ibuki died because she hanged herself, right? That means when she was still alive, her feet were touching the floor.
What's wrong with that?
Ya.
But it seems Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was killed.
Ibuki masih berdiri saat Hiyoko terbunuh.
That would mean Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki.
What?
How light. Your words are so light as the sylph's feather. Your opponent is out of your league. It is too absurd to try to perplex me so inadequately.
What the fuck did you
he's
say,
being
man?
annoying again.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you claim Ibuki's feet were touching the floor when Hiyoko was killed.
Oh.
How can a low-class creature with no psychic abilities like you know something like that?
Oke, Gundam, kok
Because she was
mencurigakan?
doing something that's only possible if her feet were on the floor.
Oh, karena sendalnya nggak lepas ya?
It seems you suffer from a pathetic delusion.
You're one to talk.
Ngomong-ngomong, ini berlanjut, kita hanya akan mutar-mutar saja. Ya karena mereka berdua nggak ngasih kesimpulan apapun, mereka cuma saling ejek-ejekan. Sial. Aduh, harusnya tadi gue terjemahin itu kata-katanya bagus-bagus banget, kata-kata si Gundam. Bagus-bagus dan bodoh. Terus sampai kita mau klarifikasi status Ibuki saat Hiyoko terbunuh. Iya, kayaknya karena ada darah di alas kaki itu.
When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
Kalah.
I am telling you to present your evidence.
Karena buktinya.
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were on the floor, was there any sign she stepped on something?
Were there even any footprints at the crime scene?
Maybe her feet were on the floor. But she was like sitting or something.
So instead, there'd be a mark on her ass.
Tidak mungkin. Tidak mungkin, itu tidak mungkin.
Weak, 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 I say! It doesn't even pierce my heart!
This is stupid.
Are any signs she stepped on something?
Yep.
I agree with that.
Karena ada bekas darahnya itu ya. Betul.
Just as Sonia said, Ibuki stepped on something.
Something.
That something was blood. There were faint blood stains on the soles of her slippers.
Oh. Dan ini kayaknya kakinya tegak sih.
That is not Ibuki's blood, right? She suffered no external injuries.
Yeah.
Then it's
Buat darah si
Hyoko's
Ibuki.
blood.
Hyoko's only wound was a fatal slice on her neck, and she died almost instantly, right?
Yep.
If Ibuki stepped on her blood,
It means Ibuki was still standing when Hyoko was mortally wounded.
Ibuki bisa berdiri saat Hyoko.
Which means Ibuki was still alive at the exact moment Hyoko was killed.
Makanya Ibuki masih hidup tepat saat Hyoko terbunuh. Berarti sebenarnya kayaknya kebalik. Si Ibuki yang bunuh Hyoko. Kemudian si Ibukinya disuruh sama orang atau gimana?
Don't underestimate the power of the evil eye!
Oh, come on, Gundam.
Is that it? A shepherd dressed in his Sunday's finest still reeks of lamb, Hajime Hinata.
Perumpamaannya gitu loh, aduh, konyol. Hahaha, jadi begitu. Membala berdandan dengan pakaian minggunya yang terbaik masih berbau seperti kambing Hajime Hinata.
Does that mean you have a rebuttal?
Perumpamaannya, aduh.
Does that mean you have a rebuttal? That's a good line.
That's good line.
Right. Are you sure you're sure? If I show you how serious I am, this world might be destroyed, you know.
Come on.
You're so frightened you can't even make a sound. It seems you've realized our difference in status.
Come on.
However, the time for conviction starts now. You better entertain me to the fullest.
Oh, I love this man. I love this man. Oh, step ladder ya, karena darahnya masih ada di situ juga kan.
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crimes. There was no blood on the floor.
Salah.
Crap!
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged to Hyoko?
Smart scene floor ya.
Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor.
Allow me to cut through those words.
Okay, that's fast. Ini cepet banget.
That's not it. The reason there was no blood on the floor is because the killer wiped it away afterward.
Don't say such foolish things. You don't have proof of that at all.
Dia bilang bodoh sih tuh. Oh, tidak punya
Yes,
ucapan kali.
I do. If you look closely, there's a streak on the floor where blood was wiped away.
Yep.
when the killer tried to hide Hyoko's body, they probably cleaned the blood at the same time, but
Saat pelakunya mencoba untuk menyembunyikan tubuh Hyoko, mereka mungkin membersihkan darah saat yang sama, tapi
Ibuki must have already stepped in it, and the killer probably didn't even realize it.
Ibuki mungkin telah menginjaknya dan pembunuhnya mungkin tidak
The reason they
menyadarinya.
wiped off the blood on the floor was so we'd mix up the order of the murders, right?
Atau kenapa mereka mengelap darah di lantai itu juga agar kita keliru dengan urutan pembunuhannya ya kan?
Even if they're able to hide Hyoko's body, it'd be bad if her blood was left out in the open.
Oh ya, betul.
Plus, Ibuki's body was left out in the open, and it wasn't bleeding from any open wounds at all.
Yep.
Hyoko's body was probably wrapped in duct tape to stop her bleeding. Actually, the bleeding will stop once the heart stops beating. So I don't think they had to go that far.
Sebenarnya pendarahan akan berhenti saat jantung berhenti. Aku rasa tidak perlu melakukan
Aside from Mikon, none of us were aware of that fact. So the killer probably did not know it either.
Setelah ini kan tidak ada di antara kami yang tahu soal itu. Jadi pembunuhnya mungkin juga tidak mengetahuinya.
Maybe The heater was running inside the music venue so it would screw with Mikan's autopsy?
Mungkin panas dalam di musik venue juga dinyalakan, jadi itu bisa mengacaukan autopsi Mikan.
That's right! I didn't know the time of death because of the heater!
Sebenarnya tahu waktu pikiran pembunuhan karena panas itu.
If the time of death wasn't mentioned in the Monokuma file, just to keep concrete evidence from us.
Oke, ini memperkecil kemungkinan kalau Mikan pelakunya dan memperbesar kemungkinan kalau pelakunya adalah orang lain. Oh, gue sangat berharap kalau ini pelakunya bukan Gundam dong.
Yep. Since we have all this evidence, there's no one else who wants to object, right?
Yep.
Then it's decided. Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
It appears that it is wiser to retreat for now.
Tampaknya lebih bijak untuk mundur sekarang.
Fine then, but regardless of good or evil, there's no deceit in upholding one's convictions.
Oke, ini susah banget ngejemainnya.
Can't you just shut up and back off?
Now then, let us resume our debate.
Wait a sec. There's something I want to run by Monokuma first.
What again?
Again? Didn't something like this happen last time too?
Hey, if the victim actually committed suicide, what are we supposed to do?
Korban yang melakukan pembunuhan apa? Jika korban yang melakukan bunuh diri, apa yang saya lakukan? Bunuh
The
diri.
same as always. You have to vote for who the killer is.
Pasti biasa kau harus memvote siapa pembunuhnya.
Think about it. A suicide means you've killed the most important existence of all, yourself.
Oke, kemarin kita juga melakukan itu untuk Sakura, jadi ya.
Unfortunately, that means there's no Blacken to punish, but I guess in a pinch, I can always punish Monami.
Nagito, what do you mean? If the victim actually committed suicide?
Well, I mean, I understand Hyoko's death, but I'm wondering if Ibuki was really murdered. For example, it's possible Ibuki killed Hyoko and then committed suicide due to a guilty conscience, right?
Oh.
That's totally impossible! Then she never would have killed her to begin with!
She was afflicted by the despair disease, remember? That means anything can happen.
Yeah.
But if Ibuki's the killer, she wouldn't have been able to falsify the sequence of the murders, right?
Iya, tapi kalau Ibuki pembunuhnya, dia tidak bisa untuk memalsukan urutan pembunuhan, ya kan?
After Hajime saw the hanged body, the sudden appearance of Hyoko's body soon after means
Iya, karena tiba-tiba tubuhnya Yoko muncul itu
the
ya.
killer had to be alive at that time.
Ya pasti hidup saat
Then
itu.
she was alive!
Kalau gitu dia hidup.
When Hajime first discovered Ibuki, she was just pretending to be dead.
What?
If she waited until Hajime left, that's when she could have made her move and mess with the crime scene.
What?
She hanged herself. Remember? There's no fucking way she could have faked that.
Dia gantung diri, tidak mungkin dia bisa memalsukan itu.
And if she was going to fake her death, I think she wouldn't have chosen hanging.
Dan jika dia akan memalsukan kematiannya, aku pikir dia tidak akan memilih gantung diri.
Her body would have been defenseless in that state. If anyone touched her, that alone would have ruined her plan.
Tubuhnya akan dalam kondisi tidak berdaya saat itu. Jika seorang menyentuhnya, itu saja bisa mengacaukan rencananya.
I see. So that means
Kalau gitu artinya,
there's no doubt that someone killed those two. I'm glad. Now I'm free to search for the killer.
sialan.
What the heck?
Apa-apaan?
There's still one more issue on my mind.
Oh,
If
apalagi.
Ibuki didn't commit suicide, then just what was that video Hajime saw?
Ibuki tidak melakukan bunuh diri. Kalau gitu apa yang dilihat Hajime? Hah?
According to that video you saw, Ibuki was by herself when she climbed the stepladder, right?
Yep.
Then does that mean someone forced her to do it?
Forced? Perhaps they used hypnotism or something?
I don't know anything about that.
Don't say it all proud.
Putting that aside, it seems obvious that the killer did something.
Sampaikan itu nampaknya jelas bahwa dia melakukan sesuatu.
So, maybe we should figure out who was able to do whatever that was.
Jadi mungkin kita mengetahui siapa yang bisa melakukan itu.
So, an alibi.
Jadi alibi.
Then our plan is to destroy the weakest alibi.
Nah, itu rencana kita adalah untuk menghancurkan alibi yang paling lemah.
Since Hajime has seen the video, it is clear what time the crime took place.
Hajime yang melihat video itu jelas saat itu keduanya sedang terjadi.
But just to be sure, that surveillance camera doesn't have a record function, right?
Oke, kamera pengawasnya nggak punya fungsi
It's a
rekaman.
cheap-ass surveillance camera, you know? There's no way it'd have some kind of sweet recording feature.
Oke.
Then, the video Hajime saw was actually live?
Oke, gue masih berpegang kalau misalkan mereka menggunakan lantai atas ya, conference room itu yang gelap banget untuk malsuin videonya, karena dia tinggal bawa ini aja, pelakunya tinggal bawa kamera yang dari musik venue aja. Pelakunya tinggal bawa kamera di musik venue ke lantai atas, dan dia bisa bikin tempatnya. Besar sih kemungkinan si Mikan pelakunya sih.
What time did Hajime see that video?
I saw it at the hospital, right before Monokuma's morning announcement.
Tepat sebelum pengumuman pagi.
And I saw the body at the music venue a little after Monokuma's announcement.
Oke.
So Ibuki hanged herself right before Monokuma's announcement. And since we established that Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki, that means the time that the murders occurred was before and during the announcement.
Sebelum dan saat announcement.
Then, we just have to find the person who doesn't have an alibi during that time?
Iya.
Now then, I shall issue my decree. Let Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi commence.
Ada lagi. Oke. Alibi siapa yang paling lemah dalam hal ini? Banyak pengakuan Fuyuhiko, pengakuan Sonia.
We can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the others?
Right before the morning announcement.
I think everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
Aside from those afflicted by the disease, if nobody has an alibi, then Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has failed.
Cottage.
Salah. Bukan juga.
Nobody has an alibi then.
Oke.
No, that's wrong.
Mikan sama kita kan?
Hold on. Not all of us are missing an alibi.
Ya, kita semua mungkin apa?
In fact, Mikan and I both have alibis.
Kan kanan aku punya alibi.
You two have alibis?
Up until I saw that hanging video, Mikan and I were actually together for a while.
Aku melihat video itu di kanan aku sebenarnya bersama.
We even woke up together that morning.
Dia jelasin pula. Gawat, seperti salah paham.
Hey, what kind of situation is that?
Siapa itu?
I accidentally fell asleep on top of Hajime.
Aku tidak sengaja tidur di atas Hajime.
Too much info.
Terlalu banyak informasi.
Yeah, it's not like that. She just came to tell me Nagito's condition had improved.
Bukan begitu. Hanya datang beritahu. Too much info. Bukan begitu. Dia hanya memberitahuku kondisi Nagito sudah
And we
membaik.
went to the hospital together afterward. So we were together until right before the announcement.
Jadi kami pergi ke rumah sakit bersama dan kami selalu bersama tepat sebelum pengumuman.
I get it. You guys have alibis.
Aku mengerti. Kalian semua punya alibi.
If that's the case, the killer must be someone else.
Kalau gitu, pembunuhnya pasti orang lain.
It's better if we think about it like that.
Sebaiknya kita berpikir begitu.
The killer decided to falsify the murder sequence to hide the actual time of the crime anyway.
Pembunuhnya memutuskan untuk memalsukan urutan pembunuhan untuk menyembunyikan waktu pembunuhan sebenarnya.
So it's inevitable that an alibi for both before and during the morning announcement would be very important.
Jadi itu tidak bisa disangkal bahwa alibi untuk kedua waktu sebelum dan saat pengumuman pagi akan menjadi sangat penting.
It feels like Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has backed us into a corner instead.
Yap. Sonia,
But-
that's bad.
Committing an imitation murder? Is that really all it was? Faking the time the crime occurred by falsifying the murder sequence, hiding their alibi in the process.
Memasukkan waktu kejadian pembunuhan dengan memasukkan urutan pembunuhan, menyembunyikan alibi mereka untuk prosesnya
Was
itu.
that the only reason the killer made both bodies imitate the movie?
Pakai satu-satunya alasan pembunuhnya membuat kedua tubuhnya memalsukan yang ada di
Are you
film.
saying there was another reason?
Menurutmu ada pendapat
I
lain?
feel really bad for confusing you guys so much, but that's how I feel.
Aku rasa sangat buruk karena membuat kalian semua bingung, tapi itulah perasaanku.
I think the killer had a completely different reason for falsifying the murder sequence.
Aku pikir pembunuhnya memiliki alasan yang sangat berbeda untuk memalsukan urutan pembunuhan. Pembunuhnya memiliki alasan lain. Kalau begitu, bukan masih ada dalam kalau masih ada dalam perangkap pembunuhnya, dalam perangkap yang dipasang oleh salah satu dari kami. Kalau gitu, siapa yang menyebarkan apa itu? Wow, so far this case is confusing, Gue pikir pelakunya si Mika, tapi kalau misalkan sama kita Miskan punya alibi.
Hiya!
This is confusing. This case is so confusing, membingungkan sejauh ini, membingungkan. Tapi Ganda mencurigakan banget, tapi nggak mungkin hanya berdasarkan itu kecurigaan gue. Kita lihat aja nanti. Terima kasih buat kalian semua udah nonton seperti biasa. Kalau tentang game ini jangan lupa di like dan subscribe sampai lagi game kalian bakal gue channel gue dan Danganronpa sepanjang sekali. Terima kasih. See you next time. Bye bye.